Another noon game on Saturday in college football. Cincinnati -3 at SMU. This one on ESPN, a total of 59.5. What is it about this game that stood out to you and made you want to consider a bet here on the Bearcats, the road favorite?
Yeah, I am betting Cincinnati -3. I like it a lot. So Ben Bryant, their quarterback, should be back this week. And their top receiver, Tyler Scott, he's just a monster. He takes top off every defense he plays. He's also back. They both missed last week. I don't like the line. I don't like that the line hasn't moved off of Cincinnati. That's usually kind of a red flag for me. But Cincinnati is just a better team. The market has been off on SMU this year. They're 1-5 against the spread with an average deviation of about 4.3 points. That's pretty significant. That is actually one of the lowest against the spread records, obviously, and one of the largest point differentials of any team in the country this year. Cincinnati hasn't really been able to run the ball well this year. Indiana was a tough game because Indiana's a really good defensive line. They have a really good run defense, but SMU just straight up can't defend the run. Cincinnati is 97th in rushing success rate, while SMU is 121st in EPA per rush. So I think Cincinnati is going to be able to run the football here. I don't know if SMU is going to be able to do the same because Cincinnati's defense, pretty good. Their weakest point, again, like Clemson, is their defensive secondary, which is tough for SMU because they have Tanner Mordecai and Rashee Rice, who's just, goodness gracious, he's probably going to be a first-round pick coming in the NFL draft here. But I'd like to look at the field position battle because I think it's going to be really huge in this game. It's going to be a determining factor. Cincinnati has been consistently excellent in pinning teams deep in their own territory. Now, that does mean punts. I've seen that they punt the ball quite a bit, but they're consistently able to pin those teams back and then rely on their defense to get the football back with advantageous field position. And SMU is 100th in average starting field position so far in the season. My aggregate power ratings like Cincinnati by about 5.5 on the road, 2.5 point difference from what the spread is, so I'm taking it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was a little surprised to see this number so low. To your point that the line hasn't moved, we are seeing a bit of a change in price, at least on that key number of 3. There are some books popping up here with -115s instead of the standard -110. So there is a bit of money here on Cincinnati on the road here, who, to their credit, has really locked in after that opening week loss to Arkansas on the road and just taking care of business, ripping off 5 straight wins and doing it pretty comfortably in most of these games. They did only have the 4-point win against USF, but for the most part have taken care of business here after that disappointing loss to open the season after the great undefeated season to get into the playoff a year ago. So I'm with you there. I think that number's short, and I'm going to be betting Cincinnati as well in this game.
Yeah, and I do want to talk about those opening week games really quick, that because we've had all off season to assess these teams and figure them out, and then they come out week 1 and do something. We've seen it with Oregon when they got blown out. We've seen it with Cincinnati when they lost. That too much stock sometimes is put into these week 1 matchups where they're either confirming our priors or tearing them down. And it's really hard to be able to say, okay, that was one game, because it was also the only sample size we had for the first week or two, and turn around and be like, okay, maybe that's not the team that we have on hand this year. And I think that's true Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati is being underpriced because people are looking at that week 1. And they're also looking at, well, they didn't blow out USF. Okay, that's a genuine concern. But last week, they beat Navy without their starting quarterback and top receiver. So I think that it's very difficult to get off those week 1 biases, I guess, for lack of a better term, and get back on Cincinnati is still a very good football team.
For sure. I mean, we have to keep it in the context of who they're playing at this point, right? They're not playing an SEC team. They're playing their conference now, which is, obviously not one of the stronger conferences in the country. So, yeah, absolutely keep it in perspective there. And it's a small number. Like, we're talking 3 points here. So, very interesting, very astute analysis by you, I think.